Of course, still on the ANC, the January 8 statement preparations are, of course, underway. Party President Cyril Ramaphosa and his Deputy President Paul Mashatile have visited the family of one of the founding fathers of the South African Native National Congress, now known as the ANC. That's Thomas Mapikela. Let's cross over then to Natasha Phiri, who has more for us. A very good afternoon to you, Natasha.
Introduce it and say that we're busy conducting.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Flo, and of course to our SABC viewers. We're at the graveyard, like you said, of Thomas Mapikela, and of course he is one of the founding members there of the South African Native National Congress, which is now known as the ANC, and of course was founded in 1912. We just briefly had the ANC, the newly elected ANC Deputy President, speaking there, Mr. Paul Mashatile, and of course he'll just be briefing us members of the media and just engaging on a number of issues. Mr. Mashatile, thank you so much for your time, and of course congratulations on your election as ANC Deputy President. Could we be speaking to the next President or Deputy President of South Africa?
Well, for now, I think let's focus where we are, and I would like to start by thanking members of the ANC for the confidence that they have shown, not only to me, but of the collective that I was elected with, including the President. So for us, really, for now, is to reconnect once with our people. We know that people have been saying the ANC is in decline, is disconnected to the masses of our people. So we want to go back there. So for us in Mangaung, it's really being here a pilgrimage, coming to the grave of one of the founding fathers of the ANC, Mapikela. As you know that in 1912 he was there when they founded the ANC. So it's important that we walk on the footsteps of these giants, to renew the ANC, to make sure that the ANC is stronger once again. It focuses on the challenges that our people are facing, whether they be challenges of energy, water, infrastructure. That's what we want to do. And on Sunday we'll have a rally where the President will deliver a January 8 statement. And in that statement he will outline the priorities for the year. And really, all of them will be anchored around the issue of renewal, the renewal of the ANC, and making sure that that ANC that will be stronger, once again, will lead the process of transformation, ensure that we deal decisively with corruption in the state, make sure that government institutions are working, because at the end of the day, we want to improve service delivery. So the NEC that has been elected, I regard it as the ANC that is going to be hard at work. A lot of them are young people, and I'm hoping that they will hit the ground running because they've got a lot of energy.
Deputy President Mashatile, you are live on Newsroom Africa. In your maiden speech here to members of the ANC, you said something quite interesting, saying that people should work for the ANC and that these days they're buying votes. I'm sure that you've noticed after the conference there was allegations of vote buying, a fake letter that was later proved to be fake, that there had been allegations of vote buying. What's your understanding of that at the conference? And do you believe there was vote buying there?
Well, there were a lot of allegations about not necessarily vote buying, but giving members money to support. So my point is that if you work hard in the ANC, you don't have to give anybody money. What members of the ANC want are leaders they can trust, leaders of integrity, leaders that are committed to serving our people, our communities. And if you work hard and they see you are doing that, they will vote for you. You don't have to worry about giving anybody money to support you.
I suppose we're speculating at this stage, but what's your understanding of what the branches expect from the government now that the party's got a new deputy president? Have the branches resolved on what they want the government to do in terms of making sure that the leadership of the party is reflected in government?
What most of our branches expect is that the resolutions they've taken will be implemented. Of course, the leadership that is in government under the leadership of the President will be leading that process. I'm working with the collective now at Luthuli House. We are busy looking at those resolutions. We've just finished early hours of this morning, the last part of conference. We're going to January 8 rally on Sunday. Then we go back home, and once we are back, we're going to what's called the Lekgotla, NEC Lekgotla. That's where we now sit and, in a sense, panel beat detailed plans of what should really happen going forward, starting with this year, looking at the short-term plan, medium and long-term. Because at the end of the day, we need to move with speed to go back to our people and say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to fix the energy crisis. This is what we're going to do with water problems. This is what we're going to do with infrastructure. Immediately we have done that, there's a government Lekgotla that will follow. And the government Lekgotla with all the ministers will also take a lot of what comes from us as the ANC and our Lekgotla to be able to come with implementable plan. That's really what we're expecting.
Mr. Mashatile, you've been speaking about the renewal of the ANC. On the podium you said that, and you conceded that the ANC is limping. It's time to renew itself. But we've been hearing this rhetoric, renewal, renewal, renewal. If the ANC doesn't renew itself now, 2024 is around the corner. And, the electorate is tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, it is renewing itself. The resolutions that we have taken, you'll see, are very clear. A resolution that wants action. So I'm confident that we are on the path to renewal, to be able to revive the activism of the ANC, to make the ANC greater once again, bigger and stronger. As I quoted Oliver Tambo, that he handed over the ANC to us, bigger and stronger. This NEC is going to move in that direction. Bigger and stronger ANC that lives amongst the people, that works with the people, that prioritizes the people, and make sure that it's action-oriented. The times of talking and talking is over. We're going to implement. As I said, the new ANC NEC is going to hit the ground running.
And how do you ensure that your deployees, ANC deployees, if you deploy them to key strategic areas, SOEs or whatever entities they are, if they don't perform, how will you hold them accountable as a newly elected leadership?
Well, we have started. In the previous term of government, if you recall, there was performance contracts that were signed between ministers and the president. So that's going to continue. And we are saying, if people don't perform in terms of their contracts, action must be taken. We don't want to keep ministers in government who don't perform. If people can't perform and we assess them, we don't have to keep them there. There are other people who can come and do the work. So the ANC must be tougher on its own deployees and not keep going around and talking nicely to people. People must understand they are there to serve, they are there to work. If they can't work, other people must come in.
I'd like to
that was ANC Deputy President Paul Mashatile. As we continue with this conversation, we'll continue interviewing him, and that's as we link to our colleague Samkele Maseko.
If I get invited to government...
Well, Natasha, it is indeed the ANC's January 8 statement this weekend on Sunday, and there are many municipalities and communities across South Africa and across the Free State province which are plagued and besieged with problems. Just one municipality is Kopanong municipality, which has 9 small towns, and in the words of the national chairperson of the ANC, this municipality is simply not viable. I'm going to bring in the national chairperson of the ANC, Mr. Natasha. Just what you've seen in these communities, Mr. Ronald Lamula was in one of the municipalities, was in one of the cities earlier on, linked to this municipality. 9 of these small cities simply not viable, in your own words.
No, Lamula was in Mokare, which is Smithfield, Rouville, and Zastron. I'm here in Kopanong, which is just unworkable. It stretches from here to Tromsberg and stretches to Jagersfontein. You can't have such a municipality. It can't work. It just can't work. And you can see poverty out here in your face. I'm going back. I'm going to report to the president. We must dispatch a team tomorrow to come and observe here themselves. Good things are bad here. This area needs attention, and I will have to trace who the DDM champion is for this area. If he's in the NEC, we'll have to include that DDM champion.
When you look at these municipalities, particularly when you look at local economic development, there's no prospect of development economically in these areas. The roads, you can't even fix roads. Does this not speak to also the issue of the demarcation of these municipalities and how they are constituted?
It does talk to the issue of demarcation. I'm from a small town called Kala. The difference is that it is only paired with Elliot, so it's a small municipality of 2 towns. At least you can pay attention to the problems. But if you are a mayor of 9 small towns, you can't pay attention to anything. You are stressed beyond recognition. Something must be done about demarcation of this area. But more important, pay attention to developmental needs. There is no place on earth that cannot develop. These areas can develop. For example, if you take Riedersberg, where we are, it's known for its beautiful sheep and cattle, but what does that mean for the area?
You spoke about small-scale farming for community members here to have their sheep, similar to the small-scale farming of sheep in the Eastern Cape province and cattle in the Eastern Cape province. If you look at the aspects and the prospects of that succeeding, how will it succeed when you can see little investments into these areas?
There must be a delegation that comes here tomorrow. And what we will be briefing them to do, to look at an approach to change the situation here. You can't go on like this. It's a terrible situation. It's unbearable. And people are here, but it's like they are imprisoned in a very big prison called Riedersberg. It's bad. Poverty is visible, and people are struggling. And as a result of that, it manifests in a problem of alcoholism in the area. People drink heavily to actually close off from the worries, but we must not say it is the liquor that is a problem. It is the developmental level that is a problem.
Mr. Mantashe, last question to you. Special NEC meeting this afternoon to prepare for Sunday's January 8 statement. What can South Africans look forward to after the special NEC meeting, knowing that it's the first NEC meeting of this National Executive Committee? And are you anticipating a cabinet reshuffle and major shake-ups?
No. This focuses only on the January 8 statement, and that's all. And that's all they must expect. When it is delivered by the President on Sunday, they must know that it's the statement of the NEC.
With the cabinet reshuffle, are you expecting wholesale changes or just minor changes, especially around the issue of the deputy presidency?
I'm not expecting any cabinet reshuffle. It's beyond my pay rate. You see, cabinet reshuffle is above my pay grade, really. That's the reality.
How should you handle the issue of the deputy president? It's for the first time that you are coming from a conference, and the actual deputy president of the ANC is not in the union buildings at this point in time.
What creates problem is this rush. Before you leave the conference venue, which we finished yesterday, people already talk about who must go to Lutule House, who must go to Matlambandlovu, who must go where. It's the worst thing you can do. That's why when a person passes on, you mourn first and then begin to talk about him. So you can't discuss reshuffle right in the conference. It's a terrible thing. It reflects bad tendencies among ourselves.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mantashe. That is the national chairperson of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe, essentially saying that they will be dispatching a team of high-level NEC members and some ministers who sit in cabinet to look at this Jacques Fontaine municipality, which has 9 small towns, and simply saying it is not viable, especially when you look at the poverty, inequality and underdevelopment that is in this specific municipality flow.
All right. Thanks very much to you, Sammy. There, Samkele Maseko, speaking to Gwede Mantashe. They're asking some questions that Gwede Natasha, is not willing at this point to really entertain. Earlier we had Natasha Phiri speaking to the Deputy President of the ANC, new Deputy President, that's Paul Mashatile. But for now, let's continue with our conversation then. And thank you for being so patient with us, our political analyst, Dr. Fikile Vilakazi. Before we cross over to our reporters there on the ground, we were talking about the issue of accountability. And you know, that's always been quite an issue when we're talking about the ANC. And in recent times, in fact, some have been saying that the issue of accountability has been used as a sort of stick to beat those who are perhaps out of favor with some of those factions that are perhaps in power. What do you think about the issue of accountability? Has it been used correctly? And can we say that truly the members and leaders of the ANC are held accountable?
Look, at this point in time, as the 55th conference has just ended, we can't confidently say that. We cannot confidently say that accountability is being implemented across the board, because you are seeing that there's some level of selective holding accountable of certain people within the organization, and others are able to run away really with crime.
Yeah.
And I think that is problematic, which is what has led to some problems in the implementation of the step-aside resolution, because you found then people inside the organization who weakened it by saying, why is that some people are held accountable and are asked to step aside and others are not?
Yeah.
So we do not have a mechanism. The ANC doesn't seem to be having a blanket approach. This is how we are going to make this step-aside resolution work, but also our accountability frameworks, to make sure that everybody, regardless of who they are, regardless of their status, regardless even of their power, either of money or political ideas, can be held accountable if they are found to be guilty of an offense that is in violation of their constitution. At this point in time, it has not been happening. It has not been coming across a flow.
All right, let's talk about your expectations. I mean, 2 days to go to the January 8th statement. Are we likely to see anything, different? I mean, what are your expectations come this statement that we are to hear on Sunday? I mean, also looking at, the previous statements, we've always said that there's quite an issue when it comes to implementation. Do you think that will drive the point home about implementation more so this time around, as people are becoming aware of the fact that you're not implementing your policies here?
Yeah, so I doubt, right? I think we are just going to see a repetition of poetry, really. I think the ANC is very good in terms of words, and they're really theatrical in nature also. They are poets and they're intellectuals. So we are likely to see again a statement here really of just intellectualism and performance of poetry to the nation. And it's really a parade in my view. Again, that has forgotten what the January statement is about. January 8th statement is about. It's about the formation of the organization. They need to remember Oliver Tambo, for example, how really this statement was about saying, come closer to the people. I imagine a situation where you can see a statement of this nature going back to the spirit of people like Umama Charlotte Maxeke, reminding them to say, ANC, this revolution is not your own. This is not about the ANC. This revolution is for the people. Umama Charlotte Maxeke was driving that message down to say, avoid living above your people, African National Congress. Live with the people, and stop these jealousies amongst yourselves. Yeah. And they have forgotten that kind of a thing. And I foresee that we're not going to see anything different with this January statement. They just come out from playing golf with the president. The president said they must have coffee, maybe something else. And by the time they get to January statement flow, I don't know if they really will be having anything at heart for the citizens of this country in relation to really our livelihoods and the fact that we need homes. We need to close potholes in our roads, flow. We need to think localizing economies. Let's think about the question of demarcation, for example, of municipalities. Just what we've heard from national chairperson of the ANC. Yeah. The situation in Ekopanong is not the only municipality that's got that problem. And we've been saying localize services. The boundaries in our nation are faulty. You can't have a boundary that has got 2 different hospitals, for example, or 3 different clinics that may be falling in another municipality. When people go there, they're going to be told, bring proof of residence from another municipality and yet to another. And yet you cross the street to go into that boundary. Those kinds of things, you know, and it compromises service delivery. And also when the municipalities are huge, like in rural communities, where the source of income is different, like in the CBD, right? You are relying on people paying their rates and taxes, people paying for electricity and water. But you know, Emakaya, in rural communities, services are different. It's an economic arrangement that is reliant on indigenous knowledge systems, right? So it means then that the manner in which you restructure those kinds of municipalities, the incomes of those municipalities must be embedded in indigenous economies of those municipalities, whether it is cattle farming, whether it is agriculture, whether it is eco living. But the ANC lacks imagination in terms of how we can actually deal with rural economy. And it's something that they've faulted in the last 28 years. They are very, very familiar with CBDs and urban areas. But when it comes to rural communities, that's the problem. And I can mention a lot. So the issue of demarcation is important.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, Dr. Vilakazi. We've run out of time, but thank you so very much for engaging with us. And we certainly always look forward to hearing your analysis. That is Dr. Phiri Vilakazi, a political analyst.